I'm here now with David Morrissey. David, thank you for joining us.
Not at all.
You're a well-known actor. Have you always wanted to direct, or is it something that's just suddenly occurred?
Yeah, not always. No, my first desire was always to act. That's what I wanted to do. It's what I grew up wanting to do, and I did it for a long time without any desire to be a director at all. It was, it was a very busy time for me when I started out. So, but I always loved being on a film set. That was the thing I really adored, really. My acting, I started in the theatre and then I started doing TV and film, and I just fell in love with doing film. The thing about being an actor is you come into the process late, so the script's been written, sometimes your house has been chosen, the car your character drives has been chosen, those type of things. And then you leave early, because then you leave and then it's all edited and put together. So I was very curious about working with the writers and editing and post-production, and that's why I wanted to direct it.
So when you were directing Don't Worry About Me, did you find it quite hard, or did it come naturally?
Well, I directed some shorts first. What I did, how I started out was I did 3 short films, two of which I'd written and one of which I sort of worked with a writer on. So I'd sort of done that process a little bit, and then I was asked to do 2 TV dramas for the BBC, which I really enjoyed, two hours. And that was my second one of that was with a writer called Tony Marchant, who I really loved, who I'd worked with as an actor as well, and it was with Jimmy Nesbitt, and that was a really enriching, wonderful experience for me. So I wanted more of that. But I was finding it difficult raising money to make a feature film. The 2 feature films I had that I really wanted to make probably had a budget of about £10 million. And I couldn't raise that money. And I spent about 3 to 5 years trying to get the money for those 2 films. And so with my film, Don't Worry About Me, what I decided to do was to find out how much money I could raise. And I could raise £100,000. And I raised that money, and then I made my film for that money, which was quite tough, but we got it done.
And did you really enjoy the process of directing?
Yeah, I did. I find it very challenging. I love working with writers. That's the difference for me as a director, which you don't get as an actor, really. You don't get to work with writers in that way. A lot of directors are very paranoid about the actor and the writer talking to each other. They don't like it because I think they find that it's, it might be messing with their process, and it's not really. I quite like doing that. But as a director, I love working with writers. I love that idea of having a blank page, getting it down. All that is wonderful. And then the other thing I really enjoy, which you never do as an actor, is post-production. So I loved editing. I loved putting music on it, all that stuff. That was the great thing for me.
It became your film then?
Then, well, it's slightly always your film, but it's sort of then becomes your baby, really. You're slightly always sort of working with it, and then, of course, you have to go out and sell it. So it's that's another big process.
So you're going to more TV at the moment? Well,
the thing about this was it was always a TV project. But I'm finding it, quite easy, not easy, but, I am able to go film TV. That's the thing I'm doing. And I actually did do a bit of theatre last year, which was the first time I'd been on stage for 10 years.
Well, it's been quite
It was quite nerve-wracking, and I was in it was 3 hours of me just sitting on stage talking, so that was quite weird as well. That was a Neil LaBute play, so I love doing that. So yeah, I like to mess it up and mix it up, and that's.
Well, which play that was?
It was called A Dark, Dark House, and it's about 2 brothers who meet again after a long time and find out that they'd both been abused by the same man. Typical Neil LaBute, not a lot of comedy going off, but it was. It's a wonderful, wonderful play, and I did that at the Almeida.
So is next up for you going to be Centurion on the cinema? Is that one before?
I think Centurion's coming out, which is a film I did with Neil Marshall, with Michael Fassbender and Dominic West.
Brilliant. That must have been a really challenging shoot.
That was wild. I mean, we were just, I'd just done a film just before that in Soweto. So I was in Soweto on a Monday doing a shoot in there, and I got on a plane and I flew to Inverness and put on a leather skirt and was in the Cairngorms in the middle of the winter. So there's an actor's life for you. But yeah, that's coming out. I've got a thing called 5 Days coming out on the BBC. And I'm just about to produce and be in a film, a 3-part drama for Sky called Sleepyhead, which is something that a book that I bought a couple of years ago, and I'm just about to produce that for them. So yeah, it's quite a busy time.
Thank you very much for your time.
No, thank you.
Enjoy the rest of Fresh.
Cheers, I will. Don't worry about it.